the Great Lakes could be impacted. Plus, a look at the benefits storms like Beryl can bring.
And sometimes to seek balance, there has to be storms, including hurricanes.
We'll also see how the wildfire season is taking a toll on the nation's air quality and how humidity can help baseball's home run hitters.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. While you were sleeping, Hurricane Beryl made landfall in Matagorda along the Texas coast. The Category 1 hurricane is packing winds of 80 miles per hour, and many fears those strong winds will bring high and potentially deadly storm surge as well. Now, there's also rain in the mix here. Up to 8 inches could fall in the Houston area, and that could easily flood roads and also neighborhoods. Right now, more than 200,000 customers are without power, but those numbers could easily go up in the coming hours. Beryl has already been blamed for nearly 11 deaths and also a lot of damage in the Caribbean, also Mexico. It's the earliest in this season hurricane to make landfall in Texas since 1986, and it was the first Category 5 storm to ever develop in June. Our storm chaser and meteorologist Brett Adair is tracking Beryl's path this morning for us. Check out this video from St. Louis Pass. You can see the water rising as the wind pushes it ashore. The water quickly overran at least one neighborhood. You can see it right here. Brett says he saw 2-foot whitecaps along the main highway to the Galveston County toll bridge. Water rescues are already underway, and at least one town as well. You can also see the transformers blowing, knocking out power up in Houston. Most public transportation has even been suspended. Some hospitals are right now canceling elective procedures as well, and we have team coverage all along the Texas coast this morning. We start with meteorologist Brad Schauder in Freeport, which is due south of Houston.
This is Freeport, Texas, and this is Hurricane Beryl. At times, we're getting hurricane-force wind gusts here, the torrential rainfall, the power flickering. We can see the blue flashes off in the distance, meaning that power is going out in some areas. The wind this morning gets quite gusty, just like this one right here, where you'll get a gust to 80 miles per hour, and you'll hear the roof across the street. There's a building with a metal roof across the street that is coming apart. Haven't seen too much debris here. We're keeping a close eye on that because, of course, that is also a hazard. Winds today probably going to come up even more over the next couple of hours as we are right in the outer eye wall of Hurricane Beryl that is coming ashore.
We've been watching the club across the street. Club thirsty. Panels of the roof have been coming off with the gusts, and I got to tell you, these gusts have not let up at all. We're still very much hurricane-force wind gusts.
We are really getting our first look at the water at the bay behind us, and I do want you guys to take a look because it is two different shades. I'm not sure if that's coming up on your screen, but it is from where I'm standing. So we understand that to be both salt water and fresh water. That's why there's the contrast right there. But also in Lavaca Bay, you can see the power lines that went out earlier this morning. We are still without power at this location in Port Lavaca. It has been a couple of hours now at this point, so you can imagine crews are very busy getting ready, trying to be able to get there safely, and we have not gotten a chance to go on any of these roads yet, so we're actually going to get a chance to do that here shortly, and that will be the first time that we're able to see if there's been any damage, if there are any roads blocked off.
We literally had to push about a half mile down the road because that tide has completely pushed in and washed a lot of that High Island Road, that 124 right there at that curve. And it's so bad. I don't know if you saw the police officer that was in our live shot earlier parked right there by High Island, but you can kind of see his lights maybe 3/4 of a mile down. He has even pushed closer away from. That's how bad the water has gotten. And I mean, even where we stand right now, you can kind of see the wind is not as bad as it was maybe a half mile back that way, but it is still pretty strong. You can kind of feel it. Earlier, we could kind of see some of the tree branches falling off, and we're still getting reports in, especially on Facebook, that there's still a lot of people out here without power.
And Beryl will pound Texas throughout the day, but then it will move north and also east. Meteorologist Brian Vandergraff is tracking Beryl force this morning, Brian. The effects could be felt as far north, really, as the Great Lakes.
For sure. And we just got the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. They've been reporting gusts as high as 74 miles per hour moving through a buoy into Galveston Bay. So these are the three big things we're worried about. That storm surge as the water continues to come inland, the dangerous wind gusts that they have currently, winds right now to 75 miles per hour sustained, and then flooding rains. As those rains continue to come down over the next couple of days, rain is going to be a major factor. Here's the very latest. Winds at 75, so still a Category 1 storm with gusts 100 miles per hour. Moving down north at 12 miles per hour, is going to continue its trek inland, coming through portions of Arkansas, Oklahoma, and right up on the western side of the Appalachians. Big time flooding through Texas, portions of Arkansas, as well as portions of Oklahoma today. That rain flood threat goes to the nation's midsection from Little Rock to St. Louis to Indianapolis. And then by Wednesday, flooding concerns across the Northeast from that storm as its energy continues to trek northward.
All right, Brian. Hurricanes can be dangerous and also deadly, but they play an important role in keeping the weather stable throughout the year. Meteorologist Brandon Stover explains.
In the tropics, they get an extreme amount of heat during the year because the sun is nearly overhead all year long. It's called the equator here, and this is where a lot of your heat occurs. Also, a lot of moisture down in the equatorial regions. The main instinct of the atmosphere is seeking balance. And sometimes to seek balance, there has to be storms, including hurricanes. So it is thought that hurricanes form. Their purpose is to try to bring excessive heat from the tropics further north into the cooler areas. What's fascinating about hurricanes is they don't derive their energy from cold air clashing into warm air. That's what we call a mid-latitude cyclone, or in other words, just the low pressure that we find up here. They derive their energy from temperature differences, and they have fronts. Tropical systems or hurricanes are completely different. They solely derive their energy from the latent heat of condensation. So in other words, very warm water evaporating, and that moisture-laden air condenses. And it's that condensation that releases huge amounts of energy into the atmosphere, and that's what drives a hurricane. They don't have fronts. They just simply derive their energy from, once again, that warm water condensing. And it's that condensation that keeps the hurricane going. That's why they need the warm water. Once they move over land, they lose that energy source. So hurricanes are truly heat engines.
And we want to remind you about our special look at the 2024 hurricane season called Superstorms. We look at the innovative tools that help forecasters and a unique hurricane-resistant home built completely off the grid. You can find it by searching the National Weather Desk on YouTube or just scan the QR code on your screen. The dangerous heat that's baking the country continues into a second week. Nearly 130 million Americans face a heat alert today. The highest temperatures are out west, where many records were shattered over the weekend. In Death Valley, one person died from heat exposure because it got hot, around 129 degrees. Las Vegas also broke a record, the high 120 degrees yesterday, breaking a previous record by just 3 degrees. Redding, California broke its record, hitting 119. It was 109 in Medford, Oregon, breaking a 113-year-old record. And also Phoenix set a new daily record for the warmest low temperatures we're talking here, of 92 degrees. That was the low. Firefighters in California are struggling to contain a wildfire near Santa Barbara that has already burned over 19,000 acres. As of yesterday, officials said the lake fire is 8% contained, and residents have been told to get out of there, evacuate. The fire started on Friday during a major heat wave, but the exact cause of the fire is still unknown. The lake fire is just one of 21 fires burning in that state alone. While Texas was bracing for Beryl, other parts of the country dealt with their own versions of severe weather. In Nebraska, for example, strong storms swept through the central part of the state Saturday afternoon. A viewer, actually capturing this right here, the billowing cloud of one storm. Look at that. Take a look at the huge shaft of rain is dumping on the ground as well. And storms also brought strong winds up to 70 miles per hour. And dropped plenty of hail as well. Some of it, you can see it right here and hear it. The reports, some hailstones that fell were as large as even ping pong balls. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at the impact wildfires could have on air quality. Plus, we have tips to help you keep your outdoor plants healthy during extreme heat.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn with a look at the Northeast. As we head through the day today, we are going to see some sunshine across much of the area. An isolated shower in one or two towns, it seems like, but overall it is going to stay mainly dry through the Northeast through the day on Monday. High temperatures, though, running in the 80s and 90s away from the water. A better chance for some showers and storms on Tuesday, as we are going to see a cold front pass through, and high temperatures today topping out in the 80s to low 90s.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We are going to be hot and humid again tomorrow. Heat advisories in effect for a lot of the locations here across the Delmarva region. We are looking pretty dry with the exception of maybe a stray shower thunderstorm far to the south near Richmond. But temperatures are going to soar once again, likely hitting near 90 degrees or better across most of the area with higher humidity. And we'll be looking at some very hot conditions again come Tuesday before some better rain chances come back.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs. It looks like we're going to see a hot one in Nashville at 95 degrees, Tupelo 95, Raleigh 92 degrees, Jacksonville 93, Tampa right around 92 degrees, Pensacola 92. So hot temperatures across the southeast. Looking at broken clouds mainly across the area as we continue to head through the day. Watching that landfall of Beryl as it continues to drop heavy rain towards Houston, dragging plenty of rainfall up through Arkansas and then into the Mississippi Delta as we go through the day.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
California and several other states are all dealing with major wildfires, and wildfire season in the U.S. overall is getting longer. It's also getting more intense. Emily Gracie sat down with an expert to find out how this is impacting our air quality and how weather plays a role.
When we're thinking about air quality, we're really talking about chemicals in the air that can make people sick, can impact visibility, can reduce crop yields. There are a lot of different chemicals and different impacts. But the two main chemicals that probably pop up when people check their smartphones to see what the air is a gas called ozone and particles in the air called fine particulate matter, or sometimes PM 2.5, which stands for particulate matter smaller than 2.5 microns.
So if we're looking at our phone and we see high levels of those things, where are they coming from?
Yeah, so they both come from human-caused sources and natural sources. And the biggest natural source is wildfires. And so we can see the particles with our eyes, usually. That's what the smoke looks like. Ozone is usually coming right along with it, but it's an invisible gas. And so how the fire is affecting a particular location may be mainly on the particles, maybe on the ozone, maybe both. And in both cases, they're combining with a lot of local human sources, cars and trucks, industries, power plants, and even other sources like trees and plants emit some chemicals that contribute.
How does weather impact air quality?
Air quality and weather go hand in hand. And on hot days, those are the days that are most likely to be high ozone days. And on days when you have low winds, those are days that are likely to be high for both ozone and particulate matter because it's getting trapped and kind of sometimes building up to those unhealthy levels. Also, when you have wind patterns that are coming from a source. So if the winds are blowing from an area that has a wildfire, then it's going to be carrying that smoke into the area.
And to hear more for Dr. Holloway, including the areas of the country that have the best air quality, check out the longer version of this interview on YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk. As we mentioned, much of the country has been dealing with intense heat, with the heat index regularly hitting the upper 90s and also triple digits. But it's not just the temperatures that matter here. Meteorologist Kit Alexander explains how the dew point impacts how comfortable it feels outdoors.
The heat and humidity just doesn't want to take a break this summer. A combination of heat and humidity have made for dangerous heat index readings. At times, we've seen heat indices well into the triple digits, making it dangerous for anything outdoors. Now, when we calculate the heat index, we look at both a combo of heat and humidity, and one of the best ways of measuring humidity is with the dew point. According to the National Weather Service, the dew point is the temperature the air needs to be cooled to at constant pressure in order to achieve a relative humidity of 100%. As the dew point rises, it means more moisture is present in the air. This directly affects how comfortable it feels outside. For instance, if the temperature is 74 degrees, but the dew point is also 74, that means the relative humidity is 100%. The air is completely saturated and it can't hold any more moisture in the gas form. So when you're out and about this summer, make sure to take frequent breaks and try to stay cool as possible.
And humidity can also impact sports like baseball. Meteorologist Nathan Shutt explains how it may have impacted a game in Pittsburgh over the weekend.
The Pittsburgh Pirates took down the New York Mets 14-2 on Friday evening. So many home runs were hit that the Pittsburgh Pirates ran out of fireworks to celebrate them. 8 in total, 7 by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And believe it or not, the weather did likely play a role into how many home runs were hit. Well, why? Well, during that game, it was warm and humid. Dew points were into the upper 60s at the Pittsburgh International Airport. So on a colder day, that cold air is denser, making it tougher for the ball to push air molecules out of its way, so it does not travel as far. But when we're dealing with that warm, humid air mass like we had in place Friday evening over Pittsburgh, that humid air contains more water but less heavier air molecules, creating less drag on the ball, so it does carry further. So to sum it up for you, you want to see home runs? Well, the best chance is to attend that baseball game when it's humid.
And it's not just sports that are impacted by temperatures. Your plants can take a real hit when temperatures get into the triple digits. One thing can make a major difference. That's when you give them water. Meteorologist Megan Danahay explains.
Just like humans, plants drink water to stay hydrated. It's important to give them water when they need it and to leave them alone when they don't. The Farmer's Almanac says plants do best when watered deeply about 3 times a week, factoring in the rain. You can do it in the early morning or in the evening. You just want to avoid that middle hot part of the day to avoid evaporation. Make sure to feel the soil first. If it's damp to the touch and it sticks to your fingers, it's likely moist enough. But if the soil looks dry or cracked, or if it's dry an inch below the surface, that suggests it needs water. Whether you use a watering wand, a watering can, or a hose with a good nozzle, water at the soil level. Wet leaves can equal disease. Maybe your plants look especially droopy. You know, it's normal for plants to wilt or slump during the heat of the afternoon. The plant is adapting to the environment around it. Check on your garden again in the evening to see if those wilted plants have perked up again. If they have, you probably don't need to water. Remember, you don't have to baby your flowers and vegetables. Plants are incredibly adaptable and they can draw water from deep in the soil.
For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Megan Danahay.
And when you go to the beach to cool off, you might notice different flags posted near the water, like this one. To explain what these flags actually mean, let's take a look at a recent TikTok from meteorologist Kirsten Clark.
So we are going to start off with the yellow flag, and mind you, the orange is being used in place of the yellow since I don't have a yellow marker. So what this means is that currents are present and there is moderate surf. When you see those red flags flying, that's going to indicate rough ocean conditions. This is when we're going to start to see those stronger currents, when we're going to see that higher surf. So this is also a point where swimmers are discouraged from getting in the water. And if you get to the beach and you see that double red flag out, that means the water is closed to public use. Purple flag, and it indicates that marine pests are present. This next flag is the red over yellow, and what this means is it's just supervised, this area is supervised by lifeguards, and you are allowed to swim there. Next up, we've got the black and white quartered one. And what this one means is watercrafts are used in this area. We're looking at the yellow with black flag. So you'll see a yellow flag with a black circle in the middle. And this just means that watercrafts such as those surfboards or non-powered watercrafts are prohibited in this section of the beach or waterfront. Next flag, instead of seeing this, you could also see the double red flag. So this just means that there is an emergency evacuation. Everybody needs to get out of the water, and that water is closed to public use.
And time now for a short break, but first we take flight over Oregon's Yamhill River.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We got some scattered rain starting to move its way into the Great Lakes area as we head through the day today, and also some rain heading in from the south. And this is going to be the remnants from Hurricane Beryl moving up the Ohio Valley. So that'll be heading towards that direction for Tuesday into Wednesday before it finally kicks its way out to the east. But we will be dealing with temperatures a little cooler with all the clouds and rain moving its way in for portions of the Mississippi River Valley and also Ohio Valley.
Hi, meteorologist Chris Suchan with a look at our forecast here today. Across the region, big story being Beryl coming into southeast Texas. Strong winds, flash flooding, a tornado risk, of course, with some coastal flooding through the morning. The storm will weaken to a tropical storm as it lifts north of the Houston area, heading towards Shreveport to Tyler. You see it elsewhere across the region on the cool side, 70s and 80s across Oklahoma City. Tropical rain will then move through Arkansas as the system pulls way to the northeast.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Monday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, it is absolutely scorching all the way up and down the I-5 corridor from California to Washington. Look at Portland, Oregon, 102 there today, 116 in the interior deserts around Vegas. 77 sounds lovely in San Diego. High pressure definitely ruling things over the Four Corners region. Excessive heat all the way through the Pacific Northwest today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
We're into the thick of summer, often referred to as the dog days of summer. Meteorologist Dave Dirks explains the origin of this saying dates back really hundreds of years.
Well, the dog days of summer are here, and I have some viewer pictures on how man's best friends are staying cool. Here's Hattie taking the plunge in Hampton, Tennessee, and I think Lucy may have the best seat in town enjoying the cool breezes while relaxing in Chilhowie, Virginia. And here's Sachi enjoying the lake water at Hungry Mother Park in Marion, Virginia. Now, the dog days of summer refer to the hottest days of the season, but actually originated in ancient Greece and Egypt with the rising of Sirius, known as the dog star. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky and part of the constellation Canis Major. Now, depending on the culture at the time, this coincided with a period of extreme weather or sweltering temperatures. The dog days of summer go from July 3rd to August 11th.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Monday, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.